I'm Spongebob.
Sorry, you're gonna have to excuse my assistant. He gets a little excited when seeing new people. Why don't you go help me edit this video out, alright? Yeah, you can go over there. Thank you. Alright, let's begin. SpongeBob, by no doubt, is one of the most influential cartoons that have ever existed. With its clever writing, great characters, and some other third thing, it is a show that has withstood the test of time. And this will be the part where I talk about how the show went downhill and all that, but I'm not here to talk about the lack of the quality of the show. I'm here to talk about SpongeBob as the merchandising brand, and let me tell you, buddy, it is thriving. SpongeBob is a merchandise juggernaut, and with how many products of this yellow cheese has gotten himself into, you are no doubt going to see some really weird merchandise out there. I think people have seen how weird SpongeBob merchandise can get. However, I have found a slew of SpongeBob vinyl figures that, to my knowledge, really anybody has talked about or mentioned this before. And I'm not kidding with you, I think these deserve the crown jewel for the most cursed SpongeBob merchandise to ever exist. If you watched any of these videos of the most cursed SpongeBob products out there, I'm telling you, you are not prepared for what I have in store for you. So before we get into the chum bucket meat of this video, I want to do a deep dive of SpongeBob vinyl figures that were released over the years, just to show you how these vinyl figures were already pretty experimental, but the ones I'm going to show you will take that experiment up to 11. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's just get right into this. So, we all know vinyl figures, right? I'm assuming you know what a vinyl figure is. They're plastic figurines with a cool pose. You put them on a shelf, they look really nice, and lots of artists are doing them. In the 2000s, there was a huge boom of creative vinyl figures, mostly spearheaded by Kid Robot, with a ton of artists bringing their own style to these toys, meant for an older audience. There was a lot of these, and it gave the way for a ton of collaborative efforts. When it comes to SpongeBob, however, there really isn't that much in 2000s. Well, except for this. Yeah, this is a SpongeBob bear brick. Depending on who you are, you either know what a bear brick is, so no explanation needed, or you have no idea what these are, and you'll probably call them Lego bootlegs on Twitter. Basically, all you need to know is they're like Funko Pops, but way more expensive. And somehow I like them a lot more than Funko Pops. Look, it's bare body or soulless black eyes, there's no contest here. As for SpongeBob, he has a 100 and 400 size in 2009, that's how they determine sizes with these things, with his laughing smile giving life to this incredible figure. There's also stuff like a superhero variant, which, I'm not mistaken, was the chase for this figure. And this is weird considering I've never seen a SpongeBob episode where he's in the superhero gear. You know, aside from the Quickster from that one episode of Mermaid and Barnacle Boy, but come to think of it, how come this wasn't the Quickster variant? Like, come on, that makes so much sense. That segues us into the 2010s. With SpongeBob nostalgia being firmly established, there would be a demand to make SpongeBob vinyl toys. Let's begin by showing off the SpongeBob Kid Robot release. There's a couple of them, beginning with Nickelodeon set with our favorite yellow sponge. What's funny is that for this set, and most sets honestly, they have this consistent base mold for the characters, at least for low half body. Then they can put whatever head they want for the toy afterwards. That's why for SpongeBob, they have the exact same motif here, and they made his head square. I mean, look at this. This feels so wrong. Even Mr. Krabs ain't feeling it. They even did the same mold for the alternative SpongeBob figure featuring that sea fungus. You remember that episode? Remember the classic sea fungus episode? Eventually, they released a proper line including accurate design figures, but I love how they just still kept the standard Kid Robot arms with a large clamp, which is a nice juxtaposition, I must say. A few are based on the memes, which is also another theme of some of the SpongeBob vinyl figures. And then you also got ice cream figures, the Jason Freaking dissection figures. You also got another set of ice cream figures, in my opinion, kind of go against the appeal of the original ice cream designs. More memes, the Uncle figures, Cube figures, some adorable Pop-Mop figures, a pink SpongeBob, and Funko Pops. Okay, that's the little history segment done. Now let's get into the juicy stuff. somewhere around 2013, a vinyl toy company called Unbox Industries would soon start, at this point, decade-long relationship with Nickelodeon to release some Spongebob vinyl figures. Now, this isn't just a set of blind boxes with random characters. Rather, it's a collaboration with various artists interpreting the sponge in many creative ways. Basically, what would happen is Unbox Industries would contact these artists to do a SpongeBob promotional figure, then they would publish it on their website where people could buy them. Some were faithful, others took a more cute direction, and others... yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But let's start off simple, with the first figure made in 2013. This is the SpongeBob in action figure. This one is based on that one Halloween episode, where the Flying Dutchman removes SpongeBob's ghost costume, and then that's where we see his truly scary costume. I love the detail of the figure's brains, and the packaging on this is really nice too. It has this whole horror movie poster vibes, which, is really, really cool. And they did an incredible job sculpting the figurine too. You're gonna see this with a lot of the vinyl figures here. Now, this was the first figure they collaborated in 2013, but for the rest of these, I'm actually gonna go out of order just for better pacing of this video. I will have the dates released at the bottom right for every toy that I talk about. On the adorable side, we got Chubby Chunk, where these cute little guys are cosplaying as SpongeBob and Patrick. And I don't know, this looks really, really lovely. Seeing these little guys dressed up puts a smile on my face, but yeah, there you go. Then we got Ziki Woo's SpongeBob and Patrick dinosaurs. They're simplistic yet very appealing. They look like little chibi Godzilla characters, it's really funny. Also, what I find a little bit weird is that their tail wraps around the bottom of their pants instead of turning it through. I guess that would have been extra pain to do, but whatever. This looks nice. Then there's the Patrick Greenie and SpongeBob Elfie toy by Tu Natapong. Nathapong? I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. This figure, SpongeBob is represented by an elephant sitting on its behind, while Patrick is apparently another character, this time being the character Greenie, putting on a Patrick costume. I mean, I guess apparently the character Elfie too was cosplaying as SpongeBob, but I don't know, I like the idea of SpongeBob turning into an elephant. So funny. And he is really vibing, bro. He's just chilling and I am here for it. We also got a reverse version of the figures with SpongeBob as the cosplaying Greenie and Elfie Patrick, which is actually really fun to see. I love this a lot. And then we got another Elfie SpongeBob figure released a couple years later. This one is just a SpongeBob with a funny looking head. At first I thought it was like an open hand coming out as the face, but it turns out it's just a silhouette of the Elfie figure turned right side, which is a pretty weird way to reference your character, specifically when you have one good replica of it, but hey, it's wacky and funny. I'll take this. Just like the previous Elfie figures, it's a really cute thing to own, and there's also a variant that's just pink SpongeBob. Pink SpongeBob? What? It's so weird seeing a pink SpongeBob figure when clearly that's supposed to be Patrick's thing. Like that's literally Patrick's color scheme right there. Isn't it weird to see a pink SpongeBob like this? Well, I guess he really does care about Patrick. Up next is the SpongeBob Patrick Box Cat by Ray Do Kim. If you ever want a low form of SpongeBob and Patrick, as well as cat ears, well, here you go. This is them in their absolute peak form. You may not agree with it. And again, the tail for some reason is the color of the pants and is not the skin tearing through. Why? This is the SpongeBob Molly. This is not to be confused with the Pop Mart Molly figure of SpongeBob that does exist, as well as the various SpongeBob Pop Mart blind boxes. In fact, this particular figure actually has nothing to do with the Pop Mart brand. You see, the artist behind the Molly figures is named Kenny Wong. This figure was released in 2017. This was way before the Molly figures would explode in international popularity and became the face of the Pop Mart brand. So it was fine that his work would be seen with another company. In this one, we got Molly wearing her SpongeBob gear, and the Yellow Man himself is represented by a crown. God, I love it when these vinyl figures do the crown thing, it is so cool looking. She's also holding a small Patrick doll. This is a really nice looking figure. I love the composition. The way the characters are being used here is really fantastic. This one has so many variants, including a Valentine's variant with, again, SpongeBob turning pink and Patrick C. green. I swear you're gonna see a lot of this pink SpongeBob stuff. I mean, at least this one has Patrick, so I'm not too mad about it. And then we have a Christmas one with a white SpongeBob and a pine green Patrick, and this whole texture of a wooden figure. Really love the colors that they're using here. Next, we have, in my opinion, the cutest figure in this collection, the Bad Muse SpongeBob by Myon Fun Sapanaki. Again, I'm so sorry for butchering this. You'll probably recognize by now that the majority of the artists that were collaborating here mostly have Asian origin, specifically Hong Kong and Japan. Don't be surprised if this happens again. We have SpongeBob as an adorable kitty wearing a black hoodie, and I really like how the buck teeth is inserted in the cat's mouth. It looks really funny looking. And our secondary character is surprisingly not Patrick, but for the first time, Plankton. Here, Plankton is depicted as a little ghost. They didn't catify him up too, but the way they handle the artist style into this Plankton figure is really amazing. I just love how they use a SpongeBob within this. If I wanted to own at least one toy from the selection, I would pick this in a heartbeat. Alright, we're gonna do a lightning round because I really want to talk about the next few SpongeBob figures, so let's go through these pretty quickly. We have Fat Coffees with SpongeBob. It features a running man with the SpongeBob gear, and weirdly enough, a patch of SpongeBob face as a mask that the man is wearing. Really interesting. Mini Umamo has a devil-looking SpongeBob in his round Glorious, and this one also has a pink SpongeBob frame, like, again, with no Patrick, but really loving the minimalism here. Robin Tang has the friends as the three-eyed, four-armed aliens. This one's so funny, and I really like Patrick's dopiness here. They really got his character right. And then the SpongeBob Makalele. A really peculiar one by far. SpongeBob is now a beetle, and there's a lot of detail here. Those eyes are giving me a lot of Y2K vibes, and the belly has this really cool looking scaly stuff to make the shirt. I really want this one too. Alright, we're almost at the home stretch here. Before I mention the cream of the crop, you're probably wondering why these SpongeBob figures sometimes don't look like SpongeBob. And in case you haven't known, a lot of these toys are actually the artist's original designs and styles that they are known for, but with the SpongeBob skin slapped over it. If you put the original toys compared to the SpongeBob versions, it actually makes a lot of sense for the direction they went. And a lot of them are implied to be the characters cosplaying as SpongeBob, and not SpongeBob himself. So that's probably why they're allowed to depict SpongeBob in ways that you've never seen him like. And that is true for our next figure.
You think this is funny?
In a cosmic sort of way, yes.
Well, Mr. Funny Man, is this how you get your sick kicks?
What? It's just an ordinary...
Oh yes, it's time to talk about him. Probably the most shocking figure of this entire collection is the SpongeBob Cross Dehara. This interesting take of SpongeBob depicts him as a balding yellow man, complete with his usual getup. That includes his iconic buck tooth, as well as some reading glasses and a mustache, and topping off with a nice blue highlight of the bottom of his face. And you're probably thinking, well, that's it, right? Just a weird looking SpongeBob figure. Oh, no. I am sorry. You thought that was it? Nah, you are wrong. Because as it turns out, he brought his friends over. That's right. This artist not only gave us the bizarre figure of SpongeBob, but he did the whole crew. We got Squidward looking like a senior ghetto, complete with a shirt, pants, and hat. Mr. Krabs looking like a mafia gangster holding that Krabby Patty in that deluxe suit. And then Patrick, oh my god, look how tiny he looks. Are you okay, buddy? And finally, Pearl? I guess Sandy Cheeks in this saddle would have looked like a spawn of a demon from the 9th layer of hell, so they decided to spare us with such a horrific depiction. But she still looks like she found some of that hard seaweed, or I guess just straight up crack.
Whale is? I have no idea what her name is. Like, I know there's like a beaver, her name is like Betty or something, but...
Oh man, to say this artist took liberties with this is a massive understatement. I feel like when this artist was tasked to make these figurines, they only referenced specifically the gross extreme close-up faces, like the unsure Squidward or the more crabs. And I have to reiterate, this is an official Nickelodeon licensed figure, which means some executives saw these figures and gave this the green light. So yeah, the watch time economy for those cursed SpongeBob merchandise videos is gonna tank, because we can never top this at all. This is it. This is the endgame. We have reached a ceiling and we cannot go even higher. There will never be anything more cursed or even messed up as this. Oh, I'm sorry, what's that? The SpongeBob plug and play where his nose is a joystick is the most cursed thing ever? I'm sorry, is your SpongeBob a 45-year-old balding man? I don't think so. Oh, and in case you're wondering, just like the others, they also had variants like a pink one, and this one where he's holding a tiny Patrick. Okay, we've still got a couple more to go. These are on the same level as the horror SpongeBob for cursed merchandise, though it's not up to the extreme, but still on that same wavelength. Starting off with the It Bear SpongeBob by Milk Boy Toys. Here we have a pretty detailed sculpted face of SpongeBob biting his lips, based on that clip where he goes, "I know you like Krabby Patty, Squidward." Okay, I don't think he said it exactly like that, but you get the idea. He's wearing this bear costume that gives out an ominous pose, but if you turn his back, you'll see a strange creature with multiple eyes and creepy hands peeking out. This has the most color variants, which is nice to see, and the eyes can change color too. Yeah, so this is pretty good. Just giving SpongeBob this raw emotion here just feels something, it feels a little bit weird, but it's kind of funny. Next up is the Great Brain SpongeBob and Patrick figure. This SpongeBob is now a hellish cat creature where his eyes are in hands. I know this is a name for a certain demon, but I don't remember what's it called. I know The Simpsons parodied this also. Anyways, just like the It Bear, on the back of this figure you have a big surprise, but it's a SpongeBob iconic smile. And we also have a Patrick who's depicted as a screaming Axolotl. So relatable. Like I mentioned before, this one is also a reskin of the Onigiri and Pink figures. I don't own their toys, but I do have a sticker of them on my old sketchbook, and that's how you know I'm very cool. Really fun figures. I wish I had these. They would look so cool on my shelf. And last but not least, we have a Tom J. Newell figure. And my god, look at the detail this figure has. You have this almost gothic looking Cyclops SpongeBob in all black with incredible line work as he stares deeply into your soul. And in the back, we have a crying SpongeBob. The hands also have eyes and judge you for this mishap. There's also a colored version of this, and the colors make this pop out. Again, I cannot state how amazing and detailed the line work is. It is just incredible. It really makes the whole thing stand out on its own. Also, I want to give an honorable mention to this Secret Fresh figure by Robert Ventura. This isn't part of the Unbox Industries, it is from another company, but as soon as I saw this dog-faced SpongeBob and a Patrick of the dog bone, I had to mention this because, seriously, what the hell is this? Actually, I think this might be the runner-up for the most cursed merchandise ever. It depends on what you find more freaky, a dog face or a balding man. Okay, so before we get into the conclusion, I also want to talk about these SpongeBob figures as well. There was also this Tengu and Hanya by Nomiwa under the same Unbox Industries. This is SpongeBob and Patrick as Japanese demons. there's a stunning amount of detail, and I really like how much character and dynamic Patrick is given with his strong red colors and this long nose, and Spongebob looks freakishly scary here. And also, he's got some saggy breasts. Now, I assumed this was an officially licensed figure. I mean, with the stuff we saw, can you really blame me? But after looking this around, I can safely say that this is actually a parody figure that Nick had no involvement with. I mean, they also released another version with this with a Saw crossover, so yeah, probably not official. Which I find fascinating because this was released at the same time they were still making official SpongeBob figures. And if that's the case, isn't that a little weird? Have you ever seen a company that releases official merchandise while also making alongside parody figures of the franchise that you are partnering with, even though that licensor did not endorse those? And it clearly seemed that this did not hinder the relationship of Nickelodeon and Unbox Industries, because obviously they're still making a lot of stuff. Very, very, very strange. That is the bizarre world of SpongeBob vinyl figures from Unbox Industries. You know, it would be very easy to end off this video by saying something like, "Oh wow, how did they get away with this? Don't they know it's a children's brand? Who was this made for?" The answer is rich, nostalgic adults with too much money in their pockets. However, I do want to take a moment to acknowledge how Nickelodeon basically gave these artists the free will to do whatever they want with their characters, with as little involvement as possible. And honestly, this makes SpongeBob as a brand more engaging with when Nickelodeon allows artists to represent him, you know, without those creative restrictions. Well, I mean, as long as they're not, you know, something like this. Say what you want about how ugly Marge SpongeBob can get with the frozen faces, or that one scene where SpongeBob holds his driver's license, you know the one I'm talking about. But if allowing this on the main show means we get more stuff like this, then I'm not complaining. If you want to own any of these figures I showcase here, well, I got bad news for you. But if you can't afford them, then I recommend buying these playing card sets, which has a bunch of artists make SpongeBob art on the cards with the same amount of creative freedom just as the vinyl figures. However, they're still making more SpongeBob collab figures. I mean, just as I'm writing this script, they recently announced a new Queenie Fox Zombie SpongeBob. Yes, that's what it's really called, where SpongeBob is a schoolgirl with her brains out. On the description, they actually use she, her pronouns for it. I thought that was pretty interesting. And as well as these bug-out eyes. This has got to be one of the ugliest figures I've ever seen. It is beautiful. I want one right now. Anyways, I hope this is a good gateway to immerse yourself in the cool and wonderful world of vinyl toys. There's more I want to talk about in the future featuring other artists and other properties, but we'll end things here. I'm glad we're still getting merchandise for the beloved show that was cancelled on January 2014. I'm Tailsweet, and let's see what the next video brings us.